welcome to another exciting episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Becker, out of Alexandria, Virginia. On today's episode, we have the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of Collective Genius. If you are in the real estate world, you know what CG is. Welcome, Brian Snider. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks for having me, man. So excited for this.
Yeah, I was just reminiscing in my head. We were actually in CG back in like 22 and 23. That's when we first kind of connected. I think we actually might have connected before that on something that we were doing together. But good to see you again, man. It's good to. I had Leon on a couple weeks ago, and I was on the CG podcast. But it's good to be back inside of this world. So appreciate your time, dude.
Yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, excited with what you're doing and the things that this podcast too. I didn't know about it until Leon was on, but you're doing a great job with it, man. So
I appreciate that.
Bring some value today.
Yeah. So Brian, let's start by just if you can give us like the high level overview of, CG is obviously very investor, real estate related, Mastermind, the best out there in my opinion, but you didn't start there, right? So give us like the high level who Brian is, how you got started, and then we'll kind of dive deep into CG and what you have going on there.
Yeah. So real quick, my story is I was actually a middle school math teacher. Supposed to be finished up my master's and become a principal. Realized real quick that like principals are the worst job in the world, and it is not for my personality. So I connected with my buddy, Brian Snider, who was running a real estate investor team here in Indianapolis. We were good friends. I started working for him, and I just kind of honestly just started kind of working my way up through his company. I didn't know anything about real estate when I started working for him, but I started off in marketing, then dispo, then acquisitions, then operations, and then moved into leading that team. So I was doing that. And at the same time, we were members of CG. So I've been around the Collective Genius community for about 8 or 9 years now.
Yeah.
And then that time too, when I was running Brett's team, I started doing some coaching and helping Gary Harper out in the Sharper Business Solutions, coaching a lot of teams. That's how you and I connected. I got to go out to your office and work with you guys a little bit.
Yeah, you came to Dan's house actually, Brian.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That's right. Yeah, it wasn't even an office. It was a house. Yeah. So started doing some coaching and realized that honestly, I would be okay not doing another acquisitions walkthrough. I had enjoyed my time much more like growing people and growing teams.
Yeah.
So at that time, Brett and I were kind of going through a little, we decided to split ways on the business side and ended up Jason Medley, the owner of CG. He was looking for a COO. So it fit right into kind of what I was looking for, what I was doing. He was looking to grow CG. I was looking to grow a team and really just help out real estate investors. So that's how I got on as COO of CG. And that was 3 years ago now. And it's just been awesome. So we've created some new products and grown the community and even partnered with other masterminds too. So it's been really, really neat to see the kind of the transition. I've learned a ton about business and I just get to help a lot of people every day, which is what I love doing.
I love that. That's so cool. So just real quick, I just realized I know what CG is, but for those who don't, can you give us a kind of what is CG, who's it for, what you do on CG?
Yeah. So the Collective Genius, CG is a real estate investor mastermind. Honestly, we don't really like to call it a mastermind. We call it a community. So it's really it's a community or platform where real estate investors from all over the nation can come together to collaborate with each other. Most of the operators or most of the real estate investors come from the single family world. So people that are wholesaling or novating or flipping or building their portfolio, as well as the single family side. We got some multifamily people, some commercial people, some storage people. So really, if you're in the real estate investing world, and I like to liken it to this it's a lot of people that got into real estate and started making money and started doing pretty well for themselves. Then all of a sudden they have a business and they're running a team, but they've never been to business school before. Yeah. And they got to hire and they got to manage people and they got to run a business. They got to worry about finances.
Wait, real estate operations is a business, Brian? I didn't know that.
It is way
I thought
more
it was you just try to get everything to the finish line and close, and then you go on to the next without knowing anything about what the hell is going on.
That's what it all comes down to. I mean, we've all been there. I know you've been there, and I've been there too, where you're just slinging deals, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, that's just I actually got to pay attention to my P&L and hire based off of it and forecast and budget and stuff like that. So no, it's a lot of fun. So really, you get to enjoy watching real estate investors kind of mature as business operators. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a key. If you didn't pick up on what Brian just said, if you don't know your numbers, if you're not running and operating your business like a business, you don't have a business right now, unfortunately, right? Like that is super, super important. I talk to people all the time. It's always really funny. It's like people doing like 50 million in volume, 100, 150, and they're like, couldn't even tell me where their last 10 lead sources were from the deals that close. And I'm like, man, could you be doing 500 million if you knew that information? And I think the answer is yes. Like that's how other businesses outside of real estate scale. It's all about knowing your numbers, running and operating like a business. So that's very cool, man. So who is walk us through like CG, Collective Genius? I know there's like you mentioned different products. Like what does that mean inside of a community having different products? Can you walk us through like the structure and what it would mean to be inside of there?
Yeah, for sure. So, really, under the CG umbrella, we have kind of 5 different products. So, our first product is for it's called CG Elevate. So that's for not necessarily for newbies, but people that are doing like one deal a month. Really, people in that room, they're doing really 10 to 30 deals a year. They're making about 250 gross profit, 250,000 gross profit. It's really they're kind of a one man show. They might have like one or maybe one or two VAs that are kind of working for them. We like to say it's at that level of like where you know how to do some deals, but you're ready to double your deal flow.
Okay.
So it's really kind of focused on like, hey, what you're doing now? Let's try to figure out like kind of dial in the operations like we're talking about. Maybe you go from one marketing source to two, or you bring on a lead manager or something like that.
Yeah.
That really kind of gives you the foundation to grow your business. Then next we have CG Select, which are people that are doing between 30 and 100 deals a year. Of course, when I'm saying deals, that could be wholesales, it could be fix and flips, a mixture of both, or you're adding your portfolio. And those people as well, they're doing about in between $500,000 to $2 million gross profit in the real estate investing business. I like to say that those people at CG Select, they're really people that they have a business, they're making some money, but now they need to grow their team. Now they need to like kind of go from like maybe 3 hires to maybe 5 to 7, somewhere around there, and really kind of getting out of the person that's wearing all the hats and doing everything. They need to kind of alleviate that a little bit.
From practitioner to owner.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a big shift too.
Huge shift. I mean, especially when you're not used to, like I said before, kind of like you're not used to hiring people or managing people or anything like that. You're used to just doing everything yourself. So actually allowing people to or hire the right people, but then allowing them to do it and not be the bottleneck in your business.
Yeah. And knowing how to like oversee them. That is a significant portion of that too. And if you going back to like our numbers, knowing your numbers, you have to know numbers about your people also, right?
Oh,
You have to track
100%.
that stuff and hold them accountable. So more to come on that. But yes, that is
Yeah.
a big shift.
Yeah, for sure. So that's CG Select. And the next one is CG Premier. This is for people that are doing over 100 deals a year. They're doing over $2 million in gross profit. They have an established business. They have an established brand. They have an established team. Now they're really trying to get out of being like really the operator themselves and actually moving into that CEO seat. So how do I allow my director of operations or my COO to run the business or run the day to day, allow my directors or managers to run the day to day, and really kind of oversee the business. I'm kind of thinking about what's next. And then we have and actually when you get to that level, when you move into that CEO seat, we have a product called the CG CEO. That's for people that they're out of their day to day for the most part. They have the team is running on its own, the business running on its own. They can probably maybe they're working 3 days a week. They're just allowing the business to run. They can kind of step away for a little bit, but they still want to do something. So they're looking maybe for that next thing, or how do I grow my business? How do I start a different department? And that type of thing. And then we also have the Family Mastermind that we partnered up with and kind of brought into our world too, which the Family Mastermind, they're not necessarily real estate investors, but they're real estate investor adjacent, meaning that they essentially have a product for the real estate investor. So if you are a coach, a podcaster, or service provider, a lead generator, anything like that, that's what a Family Mastermind is for. So they're really helping real estate investors, or we have a product for a real estate investor.
Yeah.
That's what that world's all about.
I love Family. Just recently joined it. We were talking pre-production here. I just recently joined Family and already am having a fantastic time. If you don't know about Family too, highly recommend looking that up. Just like CG, dude, the right room to be in with like-minded people that goes beyond, like you just said, real estate into different niches and industries.
Yeah, I mean that's really the essence of what CG family or masterminds are in general. It's like, I know that, liken it to when I was a teacher in the school I was teaching, I was the only middle school math teacher. So I didn't have anybody to talk to. Like
Yeah.
nobody could be like,
Lonely
oh,
feeling,
as a
right?
student, I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I actually like ended up connecting with other teachers in schools like mine around me. And I could like maybe converse with them a little bit. Well, it's the same thing in real estate. When you're a real estate investor, you really don't have anybody, like I can't talk to any of my family or friends about real estate investing.
Right.
I needed to find those people. I need to find my people. That's what it's really about. Of
Yep.
how do I find the people that have going through it right now or that have already been through it that can help me out. And then I always like to say too, I always like to find the people that are kind of a little bit below me that are like want to get where I am so I can help pull them up a little bit as well. So that's
Very
what
cool.
that's the mastermind world is all about.
Yeah, you don't reinvent the wheel when you're in a community like that. So, fantastic to be around. I'm wondering, did you ever create like an eighth grade math teacher community on Facebook to get all these people? And
I have not, but that's definitely been an idea and stuff.
yeah, maybe you
It's
can do
funny.
that later.
We're talking about like just when you're a real estate investor and you grow, you really don't know how to run a business yet. But I was thinking about too, because I was in a Catholic school for multiple years of my teaching career. And like, I look at like how they ran the school, or maybe it's the same way in the public world too. Like, it's really a business, but they didn't know how to necessarily run a business. When it comes to like fundraising and like student retention, and making sure tracking your teachers so they know that they're successful and things like that. I always did think about like, man, I could probably go into a school right now and like kind of think about it business wise and probably help the school out a little bit. So
It's weird that you just said that because my kids are in Alexandria City public schools, and I'm constantly thinking about like how I would apply my business operations playbooks into a
yeah,
school. So it's kind of funny.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure we'd be really good at that. Maybe you and I should run for like superintendent of our school
there we
districts one
go.
day.
So,
We'll put together a coaching program on that.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
for another time though. So
Yeah.
you're in this massive community with all these major players and big names. I'm sure you get to see like you have a really good pulse of what's happening out there in the world, especially in today's economy and inventory levels and mortgage interest rates and all this stuff. So what are some of the things that, you just mentioned before, again, on our pre-production conversation, you just had an event. I'm sure you talked about a lot of stuff. What's the hot topic in CG community right now going on?
Yeah, the hot topic, I think, actually, just throughout the entire world is AI. So how do you
Okay.
bring
Yeah.
AI into your business, and then automate certain things, or hey, could I get rid of this person and allow AI to do it? And it's or how do I use AI to enhance their job? So AI is definitely a huge hot topic. Another hot topic is underwriting, how people are underwriting deals, and a lot of that I think AI is actually playing a role in that as well. But how are you able to go from what the seller needs to what you could actually offer, to making sure, hey, do I need to wholesale this or do I need to flip this, and make sure the numbers work, or could this be a hold? Am I going to be able to get a refinance on the back end with this? All this kind of stuff. So I think how people are taking their underwriting process comes back to the operations. Actually, instead of just like running out there and throwing some numbers out and trying to make it work, because 2-3 years ago you could make huge mistakes on flips and still come out with a profit.
Not anymore, dude. Not
Now,
anymore.
yeah, the
Acquisition
market
price
has
is
changed.
everything in today's
Yeah.
economy.
Yeah, so the market has definitely changed. So actually figuring out, dialing in that underwriting process, I think is really where that's where I see the next level operators taking it to the next level of like, hey,
Yeah.
that's the differentiator right now. So how people are utilizing AI in their business, and then how people are underwriting deals.
Yeah. I figured AI might be a hot topic in your community now. I'm just curious for AI, you mentioned like potentially replacing people. Are you guys seeing a lot of success for like AI voice? Like all these new AI companies popping up. Like you're in real estate, it's a really personal, like person to person business that we're in. But now you're starting to see all these people say like, don't ever have to be on the phone. Don't have a real conversation. Like, are you guys seeing a lot of that? Like, what are your personal opinions on like robots having conversations prior to
Yes,
any human?
seeing and hearing a lot of that. I have not fully bought into that. I'm not saying that it can't like that you can't have AI do that or AI voice do that or anything. I'm still just like a personal connection person. That's me in general. I like to go belly to belly. I like to talk to people. I like to be on the
Uh,
phone. I like to feel things out and stuff. So people are definitely utilizing it. I think really where the game changer is with all that stuff right now is I feel like over the last year to year and a half, A lot of the higher level operators have moved away from doing outbound marketing, outbound lead gen to more inbound lead gen. And they kind of gave up. A lot of people stopped doing some of the cold calling, some of the texting, because it takes so much time to nurture those leads and get them back on the phone. And, with some of the litigation that's coming down and stuff like that, or regulations, it's been a little tough. But now I feel like where some of those people maybe stopped doing cold calling or stopped doing texting or RVMs or anything like that, they've shifted and actually pulled those back on, because now it's not too big of a lift on their team, because they can actually use AI, whether it's a texting lead management software,
Yeah.
or a calling system that's going to call back and do some stuff. So they've actually been able to alleviate that team, where I think that's really why they gave it up. And it's a bad customer experience.
Yeah.
Maybe teams are struggling a little bit, but you can utilize AI in that vein now. So a lot of those operators have actually turned that back on.
Interesting.
The lead generation systems.
Yeah, who knows where this stuff is going to go? You mentioned regulatory issues or potentials. I mean, this is kind of like when everybody was doing mass texting, right? And now, if you Google this, it's $1,500 per text that gets sent out if like one person decides to blow the whistle on you. Do you guys see? And I'm wondering if this came up in conversation. Like, I know for like you call into like the cable company and it's an AI bot. They're like, "How can I help you? Talk to me," and they can like figure it out. And it's not like they're calling to have a cold conversation with you about switching cable providers, right? And then you're like, what the heck is happening? Like, Crystal's calling me? Oh, this sounds like a robot. Did the conversation come up on like the genuineness of any outbound type of conversation like that? And then I'm just curious, like, have you guys given any thought to like, just like the federal government cracked down on mass text blasting, was that part of the conversation? Like, that's always been my like in the back of my mind. I'm like, should we really put into this? Because I could see the federal government coming out and saying no more AI outbound calls. Like, is that in discussions today in the CG community or
It
just
is
in your mind, Brian?
It is a little, it's kind of always in my mind, because I'm always worried about like kind of what just the industry is looking at as a whole and what they're facing. And I always want to make sure people are just doing things the right way and things aren't predatory or anything like that. That's always like in the back of my mind. But the reality is that I've been told that texting was going away for 3 years now, or that cold calling's gone away for 3 years now. And there's been ways to kind of, if you're doing the right way and following the regulations, doing what you're supposed to, and, allowing people to opt out of text, or, doing certain things, like there's a right way to do it to still have a level of customer service, even though it is, the game is volume. If you're doing that type
Yeah.
of lead gen, you want to try to get in front of as many people as you can. But, as I said, like I've been told it's been going away for 3 years now. It's kind of always comes back in a certain way or done a different way. So I think as long as people are, kind of following the regulations and doing what they're supposed to, I mean, it's going to be around for a while. There's going to be people doing it. And that's what it comes down to. As long as you are not being predatory towards the sellers and actually listen to them and things. So, it comes back to it though. If you're talking about like calling into the cable company and like, you get that automated thing, and like right away I'm like turned off. Like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
I think
a
for me,
bummer.
I'm
So that's why
like,
I said, if you can keep
yeah.
in a level of customer service and like the actual people part of business, when people are calling like inbound coming to you, I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for me, it's like that, in my opinion, is okay, but it's still like it's AI, it's garbage in, garbage out. You have to train this, and it's like your reputation,
Yeah.
your company on the line day after day after day. And it's like some machine, which is kind of scary at first, right? I'm just against the outbound, like fake, ingenuine conversations like that. And it's just like most of the time, so in our business, Brian, you know this from working with us before, it's like the highly motivated sellers, the urgency sellers, right? They're in some sort of crisis or situation where they have to, for the most part, right? Like some of our leads aren't like that and they can take their time, but it's just weird. It's like, do you want a machine having somebody like we have a lot of conversations, people like get visibly or verbally upset and they cry and they're on all this stuff, and like, is that the connection that we're trying to make with our brand? And for the answer for us is like, maybe not yet. So it's curious to hear like that. And then I also think the federal government might crack down on that. And you have to say like, this is going to be a conversation with a non-human. Like I can also see it going in that route too. And then, before you know it, all your human appointment setters or acquisition people are gone. And then you're left with like, oh shoot, AI is not going to do it. So it's a risk, right? Like with
It
every.
is. Yeah. Well, it comes back to, I mean, we've been talking about, just operations and, business practices and things. It's kind of one of those things of like, hey, is it what's right for the business, but also is it scalable? Is it like, is there a risk factor in it? Is it, if something changes, if regulation changes, like, could your team be gone tomorrow, or could your
Right.
business be gone tomorrow? So you got to keep all those things in
Or is your
place.
team gone because you thought that it was never going to change and you fired everybody because
Yeah, that's
instead
what
of
I'm saying.
paying
Like, that's
someone
kind
a
of like, I
salary,
think
it's an
about
AI.
the business risk of that, of like people that are actually, because there are people that are actually thinking like that, of like, oh, I can have an AI bot do all this stuff for me, and they let go of like all their whole team. Well, that's a huge risk. You're putting your eggs all in one basket versus
Yeah.
something that one decision could maybe change all that tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So any other kind of like high level, we touched on kind of AI and that kind of thing, but what else is of concern now looking into, we're about to go into 2026, like any other hot topics that you guys are really excited about?
Yeah, one of the things, this is, people are always looking at like, hey, what's the market going to do, and what's going to, our interest rates going to change, and what's going on. And so, at CG, during our December events, we always have bringing in an economist, and whether it's Barry Habib or John Burns or Bruce Norris or somebody like that. We had somebody from John Burns' team come in with us last week, just economists, just giving us the outlook of what's going on. And this isn't like a sexy thing that I'm going to share. It's basically like, hey, 2026 is going to look a lot like, that's
Oh God,
that's what people are. Yeah, that's what people
that's
are
what he's
sharing.
telling us. Oh man.
Yeah, so that's what people are kind of looking at. Of, is there going to be a huge market shift or a huge interest rate shift? Probably not, unless there's like some black swan event. Like, it's probably going to look very similar. The interesting thing is now, though, is I'm kind of just having a lot of conversations, talking to people during COVID, when a lot of the people were doing they were readjusting their mortgage or doing different things. A lot of those people now are actually, their foreclosures
Mm,
are on the horizon for a lot of those people, to where like, hey, they've had their relief, they've had their help, and now they're in the situation where like,
that's
now they
over.
now they can't necessarily afford it, and they can't maybe afford even to move somewhere else too, because the interest rate is completely different now
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
when they possibly bought and stuff. So that will be the thing. I think the market will look very similar. Interest rates look pretty similar in 2026, but really that will be the thing to check out for, is like what happens with some of the foreclosures from the COVID relief from a couple of years ago. I think that could be something that does affect the market this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. When that happened, a lot of people got in, and now we're potentially starting to see a lot of people struggling and having to get out. And then
Yeah,
that creates an opportunity for those in the community, right?
right.
Yeah. So Brian, this has been really awesome, dude. I always love like reminiscing and going back and seeing old buddies, and I'm really looking forward to doing stuff with you guys in the future. Someone listening now is in that like elevate mindset, or maybe even the next one was Premiere, moving up.
Elevate, select, then premiere, and then see.
Yeah, and then CEO. So how does someone reach out to you and or just the Collective Genius community to learn a little bit more and see if it might be a good fit for them?
Yeah, they can definitely reach out to me, just Brian at thecollectivegenius.com. Happy to have a conversation with anybody or help anybody out, or even point you in the right direction of, what might be best for you. Or just go to thecollectivegenius.com. We also got, the CG podcast, Facebook group, and things like that. You can always check out the content and stuff. But go to thecollectivegenius.com. It's the best place to kind of see kind of what kind of the breakdown of the different levels and what each one exists of, and what would be the best fit for you. So I think
Very
that's
cool.
best.
Yeah, that podcast, you just had a super interesting person on that everyone should go check out. I don't know if it's published yet. I heard from my mom it was the number one episode of all time, but
There
just
you go. So
so anyone
probably,
who wants to check out the podcast, please do that. Check out the community. Brian, Leon, Jason, that whole team, they're fantastic. Again, get in the right room if you're trying to figure out what you're going to do in 2026 and beyond. You will not be disappointed. Well, Brian, it was fantastic to have you. Good to see you again, my friend. And looking forward to continuing the conversation with you guys.
yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.